What up everyone, this is Jamie Selects, and in this video I'm going to demo how to use the DJ Business expense tracker, which will automatically categorize your DJ Business expenses. So the first thing you do when you land on the sheet, which you can buy in my Gumroad store, there's going to be a link in the description below, so you can check that out. And once you're on the sheet, the first thing you're going to do is make a copy. So go ahead and make a copy, and then you can name it DJ Business Finance Tracker for the year. You can do 2024 if you're doing your taxes for this year. Go ahead and make a copy. It's going to do its thing. It's going to take a second. It's going to pop you into your own editable spreadsheet. So I'm just going to go through each tab and then show you how to use this, how to use all the tools, how you can automatically categorize the expenses, add new categories and whatnot. So the README tab is just an instruction manual on how to use the tracker. So you can always refer back if you need help. The merchant categories tab, this is your bank of merchants and their related categories, which will power the automated categorization. So I listed a bunch in here for how my spending normally goes each year, and also just general things that I've spent money on over the years as a place to start. But if you have other merchants that you spend money at frequently, then you want to go ahead and add them in here as well as their category. So I'll just go ahead and add an example, new, just for the sake of example. Now these buttons here allow you to sort this in different ways. So if you want to see it listed alphabetically by merchant, then you can click on the blue button. And the first time you run any of the scripts, it's going to ask you for authorization. So you can just click OK, click your account, and then allow. And basically what it's doing is it's just allowing you to run the app script. So if you ever want to come check out the code, you can do so in here. You shouldn't have to really interact with this if you don't want to, but if you want to, it's in there for you. Cool. So if this sorted all of these by merchant, and you can see your new is here, and I like to see it by category, so I'm going to change it back. Cool. So that's how this works. We'll come back to this in a little bit. For the totals, this just gives you a snapshot of your DJ business. So this is like your profitability. This just shows you your total revenue by revenue category. And this is the same for expenses. And so once we're done, we'll see all of these change once we automatically categorize things. So this is just a revenue log. So for every time you've made money, you're going to want to record that in here. You can either do this manually, or if you use some kind of invoicing system, you can typically download a report of all your sales and then import them here. I have a couple categories in here which I think are most useful for most DJs, but if you want to add any additional ones like merch income or something, you can come in here and add it. You can hit done, apply to all, and then you'll notice that it's available here. This is the expenses tab, so this is where all of your expenses are going to live. The percentage of business is basically, most of them is going to be 100%, but if you have some kind of item that's 50% personal use, 50% business, then you can make this 50, and it will just change the amount that you're able to deduct. I'm just going to keep everything at 100% for the sake of the demo. The cost is how much the item costs, and then the deduction is how much you're actually deducting on your taxes. Again, if these are all 100%, then this is going to be the same. It just depends on if you have any items which are split between personal and business use. The category field is how you're going to track what you spent money on for your taxes. So that's really what this tracker is all about. Description, self-explanatory. Most of these are going to be current expenses. The only things that would be a capital expense, which is like you'll see here, are large purchases, like large DJ gear purchases, which are going to have use for multiple years. So the only thing I would put as a capital expense, which you can write off in section 172, are large DJ gear purchases of at least a couple $100 or more. The source is going to be the specific credit card that you used for that expense, and then I'll explain what this is in just a moment. And before we jump into automatically categorizing everything, there's like this optional tab here for mileage log, which you can use if you use your personal vehicle for your DJ business. Like if you're driving to gigs and whatnot, you want to record all your miles. You want to record the amount of miles on your car at the beginning of the year, the end of the year, and also your vehicle make, model, and year, and then each trip. So I just have a spot for the date, destination, quick description, and total miles for the trip. If you need to add any more rows, you can just highlight a bunch and do insert rows below. Cool. So now let's get into the fun part, which is automatically categorizing everything. Hopefully you've been using a single credit card or debit card for all your DJ business related purchases. That's going to make everything so much easier. So if you're not doing that, start doing that now. If it's a business credit card, that's even better. But even just using a personal credit card that's siloed specifically just for business expenses is going to be super helpful. So if you're using multiple cards for your DJ business, stop doing that now. Switch everything over to a single card, and your life is going to be so much easier when you're doing your taxes, and I'll show you why. So in order to import your transactions, you're going to want to go to your credit card provider and download a CSV report of all your transactions for the taxable year that you're looking to record. So I've done that ahead of time just for the demo. And you're going to want to choose replace current sheet. And that's just going to replace what's going on in here. And then the only columns that we care about are the date, the merchant, and the amount. And we want them in that order. So you can go ahead and drag the amount just by clicking on the column, dragging it over if you have to. Again, we want date, merchant, amount. These ones that are negative or don't have any merchant, these are payments, and so we can actually get rid of those. So I'll show you how to do that. We click on the top row and highlight it. We can filter, and then we're just going to show the payment transactions for a second so that we can highlight them and delete them. And then I'm just going to sort this as well. I'm going to sort range by the date, A to Z. Just gets it in the right order. So this is all we care about. I'm just going to highlight all of these, copy it, bring it over to the expenses, paste it. You can turn this back into a dollar amount. And then in order to categorize all the expenses, we're just going to tap this green button. And then it's going to use what's listed in your merchant categories tab and automatically categorize them based on the name. So again, if it has Google in the name, it's going to list it as software and subscriptions. If it has Beatport, Bandcamp in the name, it's going to list it as music. Now you notice there's a couple that don't have categories, and so that's probably going to happen to you the first time that you run this. And so you can review these and see if there's any multiple or times that you spent money at the same merchant multiple times. So you'll see I've done that here. So for Linktree, the way I can address this in the future is I can just copy Linktree, go to my merchant categories tab, paste it over here. It's a software and subscription. And then I can just tap this again. And you'll notice that it automatically categorizes it. So you can just keep doing that for all of the ones that are blank. And then that way, if you make a copy of this again for next year, those merchants will be saved. And so you won't even have to do that in the future. It will just automatically save for you next time you want to do it. You can also just drag these down. Descriptions you can enter manually. Most of these are going to be current expenses. And then this is all from my Gemini credit card. So I'm just going to, and then drag these down. And then boom, you're literally done. If you go back to your totals, you'll see that everything has been added up and added into your totals. Now, one cool thing I wanted to show you here is what this override categorization feature does is, let's just say you had a merchant, something like Amazon, where it's typically like DJ supplies or something, but in one particular case, you bought music from Amazon Music or something like that. I'm just going to use this as an example and say, instead of software and subscription, we want this to be music. Again, this probably wouldn't be one I would actually change, but just for the sake of the demo, if you manually edit things and then you hit this again, it's always going to pull from what's in your merchant categories. So if you ever want to manually edit something and then save it, you can just hit this checkbox. And then if you click this again, it won't override that particular row. And then if you uncheck it, you can see that it changes back. So that's what this is for. And then one last thing, if you've added any new categories, so like let's say for example we have one here, and let's just throw in an expense. So let's just copy this date, and merchant name was new, $10, 100%. And then if we tap the button and categorize it, should pop up as new. But since we didn't have that in our list of expenses before, we're going to want to add that here. And so I like to have them in alphabetical order. So I'm going to go here. I can insert one below. I can add what the category name was. And then I can just drag the formula down, and it will automatically calculate that. Same goes for the revenue. I think we had one called for merch sales. So this is going to look for any that have the merch sale category. So if I change this one to merch sales, you can go back in here. So again, you want to make sure that it's spelled exactly the same, because that's what this formula is looking for. So again, if you wanted to add a new category, you can add them in here. Oops. And then you want to just add a new row in here, name it, and then drag the formula down, and then it will automatically pick that up for you. Cool, so I hope this tracker is super useful. Again, if you want to get one yourself, you can go to my Gumroad store at the link in the description, and hit me up in the comments if you have any questions, feedback on it. Really hope it helps you out.